today we're going to bring you a quick video as part of our budget bass boat restoration project here. Unfortunately, we are starting the videos a little bit late in the game. We already did carpet replacement and some upholstery and little stuff like that. We had to put a fuel pump in the motor, and now we're going to try to make it look a little bit better. So, as you can see, the top side of this flake here is very faded. Now we did already sand it a little bit, so it looks more faded. But in comparison to under the rub rail here, which didn't get hit by the sun over the years, it just doesn't look very good. And this is a boat that, aside from this faded area, everything's in pretty nice shape, so we want to bring it back to life a little bit. But it's also not a super valuable boat, and it's not one that we're going to be selling or doing for a customer. It's for personal use. We're going to take it out, use it, and abuse it. So we want to get something to make it look better, but without spending too much time or money on it. And so to do that, we're going to actually do a Gelcoat splatter technique that we often use for non-skid on boats. It has a look very similar to Raptor Liner or Line-X, and we're going to do it in gray. And here's how you do it. Okay, so we've got everything as sanded as it's going to get, and we've gone around with air blower and blown out all the cracks around the rub rail and stuff here. Trying to take a second to reiterate to everybody that this is not a professional level job. This is an at-home DIY level job using inexpensive materials on a boat that, in my opinion, would not justify anything more. To reflake this would be thousands of dollars, or a lot of hours of time for someone who's experienced. And on a boat like this, it might sell for a couple grand or $3 or $4 grand on its best day. It's just not going to happen. So I just want everyone to keep in mind when you're watching us do some of these things that appear as though they're kind of cutting corners, that they are a little bit, but we're not trying to hide that. We're just showing a quick, inexpensive way to do a quick, inexpensive job. Also, our material selection on this is Gelcoat. That's mainly because we have a lot of it sitting around here, and we're going to apply it with the same gun that you would use to apply Raptor Liner. I think that unless you had Gelcoat of the right color sitting around by the time you went out and bought all of the stuff, it probably would be better to just go buy a gallon kit of tintable Raptor on Amazon. You can get it in black, or you can add your own tint to it to make it any color you want. Comes with the hardener and the gun. I think it's like $200 for a gallon. And you probably could do 2 or 3 jobs like this with a gallon of it. So again, just making sure that you don't really have any blue showing under the tape. And once you come up out of that kind of sketchy area, you're going to need another little pleat here probably. Like that. Getting a little far off there. And this line could have been anywhere in here that you wanted. But I'm just going to keep it tight to where it was. Alright, so this splash well back here, motor well as some people call it, is going to be an area that's more likely to get contaminants than everywhere else. Obviously the whole boat could be waxed over time and stuff like that. So we're going to do this prep all before we paint everything. But we're going to do it inside this motor well before we sand anything. The reason we're doing that is if not, you take those contaminants that are on the surface and you spread them into all your sanding scratches as you prep. So we want to remove contaminants before and after sanding. And this is a wax and grease remover prep solution. You can get it at any auto body store. Okay, we're about ready to spray this thing. I'm just going to take a minute to go over the material. As I said earlier, we're using Gelcoat, but we're going to use it out of the Raptor gun, and we're going to use it in a way that gets a very similar result to how a Raptor looks. And so for that reason, I'm going to just tell you guys about Raptor real quick, because I recommend if you're going to try this, this is what you use. If I had another quart of it here, I would be using it on this job, but I think it'll take a little more than 1 quart, and I don't want to run short on it. But basically, it's a tintable product, and you get some automotive base coat. You add like 2.5 or 3 ounces of the base coat right into the bottle. Then you add 8 ounces of the hardener. Screw it back down. Shake it really well, probably a minute at least, I would say, of shaking it. Then you take the lid off and screw the gun right onto it, and you just apply the product directly. With this gun, I recommend that you add a regulator to it, and I found that for the finer results, you want to use very high pressure. And then if you want a thicker texture after you've gotten kind of a base coat down, you can turn that pressure down a little bit. And you basically just have all your tint ready, and then you add the hardener before you use each quart. Shake it really well and screw the lid on, or screw the gun on, and just keep spraying it until the job's done. And so we've got our gel coat just about ready to kick here, and we're gonna start spraying. So as I'm spraying this, you'll notice I'm standing pretty far away. I'm also keeping the gun moving all the time. One of the biggest problems that you can run into when you're using this technique is that the particles all kind of run together and form just a big thick coating on the surface. So you want to make sure that you're not putting too much on at the same time, which is one of the reasons why you're also seeing me triggering on and off a lot. So you want to build the thickness slowly and give the particles a chance to tack before you come by and stack more on top of it. During this spray process, we actually decided halfway through to do a combination of a couple of different colors of gel coat. You can't see us doing our gun refills here, but we applied 3 different colors of gel coat to give us somewhat of a granite texture on this, or a granite color, I'm sorry. So again, you'll see I'm just staying far away, adding a little bit at a time, making sure that it doesn't all run together into one big thick coat. Because once you get to that point, you kind of got a mess on your hands. So it's important to keep that distance, keep moving, and have a good look at what you're doing. If you see that it's starting to get away from you, just kind of back off a little bit, let the material tack, and then you can come back and add more where it stacks on top of each other instead of just coagulates together. It's something that takes a little bit of practice. I recommend if it's a new technique that you haven't tried before, you can take a piece of scrap fiberglass or anything that's smooth and make yourself a test panel first, so you can kind of get an expectation of what you're going to end up with. Okay, so here you can see the finished product. Unfortunately, we didn't record the demasking process, but you get the idea. We've got the boat outside here and somewhat cleaned up, and that's probably as clean as it'll ever get. We're going to take this thing out and beat the heck out of it. We've still got to reinstall the cleats and some lights and a couple things like that. But basically, you know, what we have here is a durable, rugged coating that is easy to clean and looks pretty good. It doesn't look too fancy, but it's better than what we had before. Didn't cost a whole lot of time or money, and that's what we were going for. This is also one of our first YouTube videos, so you know we're going to work on getting a little bit more detail and some better recording of every step of the process. But you get the idea of what we're going for here. Thanks for watching.